Okay, so let's take a look at other options in representation. Well, I do think that a number of plans and sections could be as simple as these ones. We don't need more or less. We could just need the section mark, scale values, crossing, etc. I want them quite straightforward, but maybe a set of other plans or sections could have shading quality and vector quality. So in order to do that, what we will do is go to the section and create on the one side, on the one hand, we will print this as we did before. It will be PDF. I'm gonna do for now just a section. At the we're gonna do tabloid zone portrait as we had before, so I'm gonna do that one. Now we can call that something like section 1 presentation or something like one, just because it's made of 2 parts. We're gonna open that in Illustrator, so we're gonna have that once the PDF is done. So that's the section. I'm gonna close that. PDFs are vector-based if they don't have any shading. So I'm gonna open that one. I'm gonna go to where I saved everything, PDF files, 1, open it up. And notice that those are actually vector-based. So those are, like, by the way, you could clean some of these things. You can scale them if you want, although we don't want to do that because we want to keep the scale intact. So I'm going to save this. It's going to save it as PDF. And now we need basically a rendering behind. Now, if for the panel 1, I'm not looking into colorful renderings, but I'm going to talk about how you will do that for Studio as well. The first thing you will do is go to the view, there's presentation, and you want to go to graphic display options, and you have many options here you can work. You can take it to shaded or keep it in line and introduce shadows, for example, and apply, and you can see the changes as you make those. You can do an ambient shadow to look a bit more interesting, and you can change some of the aspects here that you have. You can show depth, so it gives you a bit more of a depth feeling, and changes some of those parameters if you think are necessary. You can change under lighting a bit more lighting if you want to, and it basically creates that kind of a more elegant set. Now, the second we include shadows, depth, or whatever it is, and you say, okay, that we can't take as a vector base. So this has to be thought out as an image that we're going to place behind the vector-based drawing. If it's good quality, you could present it like this, but again, it won't be like that ideal vector-based quality, especially for large sections or plans. So what would you do if you want to get the image of this? You will go to export. Here, there's a triangle. You go down and you say image. There are images. You want to change where you want to save this. So you'll go to where it should be. And just choose the option you want here and say something like 1 of 2, the second drawing. And if you do fit 2, which is the default, that's not going to give you a high resolution. You want to go to 100, and then smallest, and then if you want to say 300, I think that should be okay. You can take it to 600 if you think it's best. Say okay. It's current Windows, it's wherever you're working there. You can bring many more images if you need. Say okay. It will save it automatically to where you want it to be. So I'm gonna go there, and here it is. You might want to double click there, see how it looks. This is how it's not amazing resolution, so you might want to consider the 600 option or or the zoom option. But let's see how that will work. We have that PDF, sorry, that image in the PDF. So we can go to Illustrator and then place the image here. And then if you click once, it's 100%. So that's exactly the scale you want to have. You can bring that to another layer, something like image. Done this many times. Bring it underneath and bring that over here. And lock maybe the layer one. And move that to more precise spot. Now this is exactly the same scale. So you want to make sure this is fit as best as possible. It's going to give you some in-depth or like depth type of feeling. So you can select the image and maybe add some transparency to make sure that the line work is present with more evidence. So that gives you more of a in-depth quality, and it has the vector base feeling, no? Plus the raster base. So that will be a nice one. You can save that drawing and then go to InDesign and say place. And that would be the 1.1, which we have merged. Click only once to make sure the scale it's the same. No, so there you go. Those are two different ways. Now again, you go to high quality, so it's looking quite nice. Now you can do that obviously with plans. So if you go to the plan presentation, you can do the same graphic display options, and you can do shadows, cast, apply. Some people put oftentimes, different other features, and you can maybe you want to take it to shaded if you want some color. If in this case we don't have any material on the floors, that's why they look very similar. So maybe it doesn't make sense. But in your project, you'll probably assign different materials to different floors. Okay, you can do the same as we did before. You have silhouette options, which we talked about before. Lighting can include more lighting or less for the different elements, and that could be the same strategy of bringing both together. Okay. If you go to the section which has that rendering quality, you can duplicate, create another one, rename, and say with color maybe. Imagine a studio and you want it with color. And then you can change that to different method. You can do that here under graphic display, take it to maybe shade it, apply, gives you the brick colors and so on. And then you can start typing things like, I don't want the lines, maybe. That gives it a bit more poppy look. You can have the cast shadows and so on. This could be changing as well if you want different depth feelings to it. Create limit as well if you want to, and then obviously have to talk about the lighting features. So those could be and try different other aspects as well. Let's see how that is. I do remember that I actually selected this wall and changed it, the materials to be stainless steel. So maybe for these type of drawings are very grayscale oriented. It will make sense to have them as into wall boards to understand more the volumes of them. So G them. Okay. So there you go. So it has that a feature. You can change some of these elements. There are many types of drawings that you can have. Some of them might have more depth, less depth, more colorful, less colorful. Those will be more like in terms of the rendering aspect, which would be the realistic here if you want to do that as well. Those will take a little more time, of course. And some of the things don't necessarily look much better, but you can change some of these aspects for brighter, darker color corrections and so on. So those are things that you can do. I particularly for the top section of panel 2 and the bottom should be like a grayscale type of quality, you know. So here in line is probably the ideal scenario, but just for you to know that in studio you can you might want to introduce more colorful aspects and introduce different type of elements. You can increase the sun, you can reduce the shadows, start becoming maybe more poppy if you like something a bit more poppy, a bit more contrasting or less sun. So there are different things that you can do to be more interesting. You can play with those things to be more your type, your style. Maybe some people don't like this, the ambient shadows, which gives the softness. You might want to keep it a bit more straightforward. So then you will create again with export, go down, you go to the images, image, then you can just select the zoom to 100. That will give the same scale as the drawing. And you may want to change the PNG so you can give a bit higher resolution and take that to 600, which will be the highest option that you can get. Okay. So you can also do 200 and then scale it down, but you know, that would be another approach. So if I open that one, it starts being a little bit better. Again, enough as a background image with the problem for you to work with. Okay, so we can bring a combination of vector-based drawings and raster-based, as long as the scale is appropriate for both plans, for sections, for call-out of sections, for any kind of thing. In the last video, I'm going to talk about actions and exploited analysis and the solar, and we should be done with only one more.